There we go. Thank you.
And I will be giving this talk on my own this morning because Linda's at a family event. So I am in the middle of, well, towards the end of the last day of taking an online course through the Barry Center for Buddhist Studies. And the title of this course is Truth, Views, and Values. So any of you who might know me fairly well know that that would be a title that would be enticing to me. And I also took it because of the teachers. But most importantly, I need to continue to learn. That's, I think, a requirement to teach. So one of the teachers, John Peacock, I had some exposure to. It was just via a YouTube. But I had a feel for him, not just about how he expressed his knowledge, but about who he was, is who he is. He's very alive. So he just let us know that he started his practice in Dharamsala, India, when he was just 17 years old. He's about my age. He's a baby boomer, and what it was like to be welcomed into the Tibetan Buddhist community only about a decade after it had fled from India. Tibet, fled to India from Tibet. But more importantly, or maybe coupled with that, was that wisdom, that the knowledge he had, the long-term knowledge, was how he felt to be. So there was this warmth and a kind of humility, but not like that kind of, oh, me, I don't know anything. No, not that kind, but more the sense of that he was standing in his knowledge without any sense of his feeling superior. At least that's how I took it in when I listened to him on YouTube. And somehow that was an interpersonal experience. Ain't that kind of wild? But then he did this quote that I thought really kind of expressed to me what I'm talking about him. He said, wisdom must be balanced with a sense of kindness going out into the world. So there's a second teacher in this class, Akino Weber, and I didn't know much about him, but I find that I'm also really enjoying and learning from him. So I'm right in the middle of this course, right? And I woke up at 6 a.m. this morning I didn't get up till 6:30. I'll talk a little more about that, to, get online, and then wrote this Dharma talk between 8 and 9, along with eating breakfast, getting dressed. So that's the state of mind you find me in. And I was hesitant to take this course because it was so soon after the in-person retreat. Teaching in-person retreats are tiring for me. And it was right in the middle of my work week. I'm not yet on sabbatical. And it began at 6 a.m. each morning for those of us in Pacific time. It was at a nice time for those of the East Coast. And the teachers were in Europe, and I think it went kind of late into their night. So that's the challenge of being in an international community. It's also quite wonderful. Because we broke into small groups and each day, and it was nice to talk to people from different places in the world. Mostly Europe, because Australia, really, it would be in the middle of their night, or Asia. Let's see. So the first thing that struck me on the first day, and it struck me quite strongly, was how much the actual practice that we're doing, this process we're going through in reflective meditation, just how deeply embedded it is in early Buddhism. So this class is a class on early Buddhism, and they just got to talking today about how we are the first peoples in history who have so much access to so many different forms of Buddhism, and just what a richness that provides. But it's also a challenge because the teachings are different, but this course is rooted in early Buddhism, which is my path, which is what we teach from, which is what resonates for me. But I also, the first day, really felt a deep appreciation for Jason Siff, who really innovated, came up with recollective awareness meditation, and really mined it from a deep understanding of early Buddhism. And of course, we continue to evolve this teaching. We renamed it, turned it into reflective meditation, and try to evolve it as we learn more. Of course, this is exactly what we invite you to do in your own practice. So there are so many Dharma talks that come and will come from the teachings in this course. No, I didn't have enough time to integrate them between 8 and 9 this morning. I think you'll understand. But I'm going to start with how I applied skillful effort to this course. Because the first morning I woke up at 3:15 a.m. I think it was sort of reminiscent of that underlying stress of the first day of school. And will I get onto Zoom? And I need to hear the beginning, and I need to, be grounded, and what's going to happen. So, and then after that, I had to work all day. So, I knew this kind of schedule wasn't sustainable for me, at least not with any modicum of kindness to myself. So I changed I reframed my skillful effort and said I would try to wake up early-ish, but I wouldn't have no pressure to be on time. After all, I got the recordings. I can listen to these sessions. Phew, that was a relief. So they began the workshop with the question of what is truth? Big question. And they went on to say it's things that are just so obvious, they're indisputable. And they reference to the 3 marks of existence and conditionality. Now, these are teachings we teach over and over again. I think there might be some people new to this morning. I can't see on the screen that way now, but we if you hang around and keep coming, and we'll teach to this over and over again. But they said, and I strongly go along with, we're not learning them as beliefs, but things to be taken in deeply, and to really know deeply. So Linda often talks about how she came to Buddhism through the door of dukkha. She had a near-death experience, and I'll let her tell her own story, and it's told in the book, A Reflective Meditation, Cultivating Kindness and Curiosity in the Buddhist Company, the book we wrote last year or so, and before that. But you know what? I think that many of us, or maybe most of us, come through that door. There's a lot of pain in this life, and we want to figure out how to live with it. And they, Peacock and Weber, say, how do we live with this in a way that is freeing and emancipatory? I don't tend to use that word emancipatory, but I like it. Okay. So how do we live with it? Maybe that is one of the main tasks, rather than having it completely pull you down or depress you or discourage you to the point of being unable to build a good life, really. Then they go on, and this is going to sound so familiar to those of you who've been around. They say the task is to investigate your life. This is what we do, huh? We sit together quietly, somewhat still, and we let what comes up, and then we look at it. We take a deeper look, maybe in the meditation, maybe in reflection, maybe in conversations with one another or a teacher. This is coupled with, the way we kind of express the teachings through our talks. And then they speak about the many ways, and they said this a lot, and I love this actually. The Buddha was a pragmatist. The Buddha was not philosophizing, but pointing towards something that is practical. What helps us human beings to grow? What makes our hearts free or freer? So time is running out in terms of my Dharma talk, but time was running out. It's perfect. I didn't realize it would work so well because I needed to get dressed and settle down and actually give this talk, so I couldn't write it anymore. So you've been listening to a talk which is half-baked. That's what was possible this morning. That's what was practical this morning. and that is where I will end.